The night she was locked inside the shed, the cold came fast and sharp, like a living thing. It slipped through the cracks in the warped wooden walls, biting her skin, stealing her breath. The door had slammed shut behind her with a final sound that still rang in her ears. She had shouted then, begged, pounded with numb fists, but the voices outside faded, replaced by laughter and the crunch of boots retreating over snow. Soon, there was nothing but silence and the long howl of wind sweeping across the plains. She pulled her thin shawl tighter, though it did little good. Frost glittered on the iron latch like cruel decoration. The shed had once held tools and grain, but now it was empty, abandoned, and forgotten, except for her. Every breath felt heavier than the last, her chest aching as fear settled deeper than the cold. She thought of the morning sun, of warmth, of the life she'd had before rumors and anger had turned neighbors into enemies. The idea that this dark, frozen box would be her final resting place pressed against her mind until tears burned in her eyes. She didn't know how much time passed. The cold made moments blur together. Her hands shook as she pressed them to her mouth, whispering prayers she barely remembered learning. When the fear became too much, she cried out, not loudly, not at first, but with a broken sound pulled from somewhere deep inside her. It felt foolish, calling into a night that had already swallowed her whole, but the sound escaped anyway, carried by the wind. Miles away, a lone rider moved across the moonlit snow. His horse stepped carefully, steam rising from its nostrils, ears flicking at every sound. The warrior rode without haste, his dark silhouette blending into the land as if he belonged to it in a way fences never could. He had been traveling back toward his people after a long journey, guided by stars and instinct more than roads. The night was quiet, but not empty. He listened to it, the way he had been taught since boyhood. That was when he heard it, a faint, uneven cry, carried on the wind. He reined his horse in, head tilting slightly, eyes narrowing. Many sounds lived in the dark, coyotes, owls, shifting ice. This was different, this was human. Pain had a rhythm of its own, and he recognized it immediately. He turned his horse without hesitation, urging it forward. Snow sprayed beneath pounding hooves as the cry came again, weaker now, but closer. The warrior's jaw tightened. Whoever had made that sound was in danger. The land told him so. The shed appeared like a shadow against the snow, barely standing, its boards bowed and gray with age. He dismounted quickly, moving to the door. Inside, he heard shallow breaths and a soft, desperate whimper. He pressed his shoulder against the frozen wood, forcing it open with a crack that echoed across the empty land. Cold air rushed inside, but with it came hope. The warrior stepped through the doorway and knelt, his sharp eyes finding her huddled shape in the dark. She looked up at him, disbelief flickering across her pale face. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, in a calm voice meant to steady both of them, he said a single word, enough to let her know she was no longer alone.